Dear Riga Aviation Forum auditorium, we are back to the studio, and right now we are starting our panel discussion. First, I would like to introduce our panelists. Today, next to me is the CEO of Riga International Airport, Laila, Odina.
Good morning.
Hakan.
Hakan Uzunosmanoglu, Country Director of Seattle, Latvia, which is managing commercial points in Riga International Airport Terminal.
Kaspars, Briskens, Head of Strategy and Development of Rail Baltica. Not mislead with Air Baltic, is a different entity. And Mr. Taurins, CEO of Latvian Air Traffic Control Organization.
Hello.
So, today we will talk about sustainability, about sustainable development of aviation infrastructure. Today, days before, we're talking a lot about a crisis, but we need to also think about our further development, how we will look, how we will be after this crisis. And our main target is to be better after it than before. First, I will ask similar questions to all of our panelists, and then we will start discussions. And also, auditorium, you are welcome to ask questions via Slido tool. And in the last part of this panel, we will go through those questions and also continue our talks. So, Laila, before crisis, Riga Airport has great ambitions to become an emerging hub of Northern Europe. We had excellent connectivity, more than 100 destinations we've flown in summertime. Right now everything is closed, we almost don't have a transfer passengers. What are preconditions to remain our positions in the Baltics and still fight for Northern Europe?
Good morning. Yes, we still have not lost our ambitious plan to become Northern Europe hub for air travel. Preconditions, I think what we are doing right now is infrastructure and with implementing new procedures. This is all giving us opportunity later on will be more efficient. It will help us to reduce our cost base per passenger and also per aircraft movement. So we are getting ready for the time when all the volumes will be back. And I think we expect it to be back in 2 to 3 years' time.
So, thank you. Hakan, you are really dependent from the number of the passengers because you are also most interested to have back passenger traffic in Riga. What is your opinion, maybe from a broader view, as you are a manager of a global company, what we need to do to remain our positions?
Actually, I would like to say that this is not the first crisis, and it will be not the last one. We faced before the volcano explosion, we faced war, we faced terror attack, bombing attack, we faced SARS bird flu, and we faced revolution, and we faced hardly strikes in our airports. And so this is one of the hardest one, actually. Impacted negatively too much, and there are too much uncertainty. But for the Riga Airport case, for not losing the advantage as a leader position in the region and also Northern Europe, we have, of course, some ideas. We are not thinking that this subject can be solved just by one player strategy. And all the aviation sector involvement needed. And all the stakeholders' problems has to be solved. And our problems should be put under the microscope and should be reviewed by also even the state as well. So we saw now during the pandemic situation that we need some expertise. That's why we are turning back to the United Nations. We are looking what World Health Organization. So it's time to create some common working group and common knowledge and reaching consensus all together, first of all. In Latvia also we need to do it like that, because aviation sector is, as we know, that Air Baltica and Riga Airport is the biggest player, but the other half, 50%, is the other players as well. Even when we look at the total number of the workers, is 50% and 50%. So I would like to try to say, actually, Air Baltica is important actions are doing nowadays, and Riga Airport doing actually all the necessary things. But if we talk about how we can build the future, there is some domino effect in the aviation sector now. We should solve the problem of all the aviation players, maybe by state aid, by renegotiating the contracts. Also, finding the quickest way, making needed necessary infrastructure as soon as possible, maybe by help and support of private sector, maybe by the models of public-private partnership. And as soon as possible, we should really analyze well what the other airports are doing in our catchment area. With the collaboration of ministries, we need to respond to them for not losing our positions. I can just say that we should, of course, try to increase our number of the passengers, maybe by reframing this non-restricted destinations, who has a potential by the unserved seats that we are seeing in the statistics. I can just now say, but the cargo operations also, it looks like, because of the supply chain broken, it looks like it's another opportunity.
Okay, I can just add that yesterday within Employers Confederation we had a meeting with Minister of Health, and she stated very clear that their position is to remain this 14-day quarantine, which definitely affecting sales and passenger numbers. But from other hand, Minister did promise us that she is open for discussion about how to give support to those companies which are suffering at the industry, and I think that is a new page on this further discussions with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Transport, and government in total. But just a short adding, that European guidelines are also on the process and development, and like a common view of the industry, I would say aviation industry, tourism and entertainment, that's we need to search for a balance in between priorities for the health and also to survive a very important part of the business, which is transportation, tourism and traffic. Kaspars, same question to you. What we need to do to be leaders in the market?
Well, good morning, everyone, and many thanks for this opportunity to be on a distinguished panel back with the Latvian and Baltic aviation family. Well, clearly, Rail Baltica is not a railway project. Rail Baltica is a connectivity and economic development project. And from that perspective, given that it will link up also the Baltic region's airports, especially here at the Riga International Airport, which will see the development of an international station. So clearly that's a major opportunity to create a cohesive, intelligent and sustainable mobility platform, which should also help the aviation industry to come out of the challenging times that we are currently experiencing. Of course, Rail Baltica is a longer-term project, but at the same time, especially at this stage when we are finalizing the designs and we are about to embark on a high-scale construction, it is very important to calibrate those investments on the rail side, on the aviation side, because again, Rail Baltica just bridges the missing link in the wider mobility ecosystem. So this is the right time. I mean, crisis is not the time to save and cut back. Crisis is the time to actually accelerate investments. And that's why both on the rail side and on the air side, clearly, I mean, all of these major investment projects need to be accelerated. They need to be, the scope, if possible, needs to be increased. And we should take advantage of these synergies to both deliver a cohesive, intermodal, and multimodal integrated infrastructure, but also give impetus and give stimulus to the aviation industry, to the wider mobility industry, and economy as a whole.
Well, thank you, Kaspars, for explanation. David, air traffic navigation is a very important role on service chain for the airlines, and definitely your strategy also will impact development of Riga. So what is your answer to?
You know, we consider ourselves as a part of whole Europe and whole NSP family of Europe. And in this respect, I think that it's quite difficult for each single player, I mean, and I agree with Hakan in this respect, that all stakeholders should be treated in a common way. Because airplanes cannot fly without airports, cannot fly without air navigation services, and airplanes themselves are clients and customers for airports and for us. So that means that we are all sitting in one boat. And I think that some common approaches should be accelerated in this direction. And I do not want at all to criticize anybody, but I think that the measures, these coordinated measures, which come from let me say, governing bodies in Europe, are a little bit late. And that has quite negative impact on us. For the time being, we are doing everything. We are doing our utmost to struggle COVID consequences, and of course, in this respect, we have somehow to address our expenditures, our costs, and maybe you have seen already in my presentation, up to the end of this year, our costs will be decreased by 30%. But in this, I would like to stress and underline that all these measures will not touch and will not affect safety issues, and our main goal is also to remain and to keep the operational staff. That's very important because, as you remember very well, in 18, in 19, there was a big problem with the capacity, big problem with the delays, and then we had to invest in new staff, in new air traffic controllers, and now we are keen to keep them in the enterprise. That's very important.
Yes, thank you, David. I can fully agree with this because we need safe navigation services, we need reliable services, and your services must not be the reason of delays, definitely, because that costs a huge money. When aircraft stays on the ground, is burning less fuel while in the air, and this is very important.
Definitely.
So, a little bit about infrastructure, because we have two aspects to talk. One is sustainability, think green, and the second, which is really affected by this COVID crisis, is the time frames of the future development projects. Kaspars, there's a lot of rumors, a lot of information about. Very simple question: does train station in Riga airport will be built on time? And on what time? On what year?
Yeah, well, there's a short and a long answer to this important question. The short answer is that, you know, the overall timeline of Rail Baltica is that we should start operationalizing gradually, section by section, the Rail Baltica line from 2027. So let's see, and then in the upcoming years to also open up the entire connectivity, so the whole corridor from Tallinn all the way to the Polish-Lithuanian border and beyond. And of course, Riga International Airport will see an international high-speed Rail Baltica brand new station. The construction works should start next year, should extend over to around 2024-25. In fact, just in a couple of weeks, we will receive the second round bids from the construction contractors. So that will, of course, take some time for evaluation, and hopefully by the end of the year, the winner will emerge, and shortly thereafter, we can start the construction works. So that's the short answer. The longer answer is that, of course, a project timeline should not only be viewed one-dimensionally. I mean, timeline is just one parameter in mega project delivery. Equally important is to ensure that that timeline is calibrated with the quality of the infrastructure, the scope of the infrastructure, and of course the scope and scale of the investment. Because these kind of three wide categories in what we call the mega project project management triangle are equally important, because you don't want to rush things at the expense of maybe sacrificing some capabilities or some functionalities. Because at the end of the day, what we're looking at is especially here at the Riga International Airport with the Rail Baltica station, is to ensure that there's a seamless intermodality between air and rail. And that in the future, these two critical modes of transport, which for Latvia are absolutely strategic. There's no doubt that aviation is a strategic industry for Latvia. Mm-hmm. Air Baltic, in my book, is the Latvian Nokia, and these need to be nurtured. And Rail Baltica will be an additional element which can further consolidate the importance of this industry for Latvia and for the Baltics as a whole.
Yes, thank you for this answer. When train station will be built, obvious question, it will be connected to the new terminal or to actual? What about Riga Airport investment plans and timing?
You have seen the presentation of my colleague Savelius just a few minutes ago about all our current plans. These are really major plans what we are doing right now, and major investments. And this is really the right moment of doing that because of this so-called low season what we are experiencing right now. It is really helping us to perform all these reconstruction and construction works right now, while we can afford to keep closed the aerodrome all nights during all summer period. We also have implemented different other restrictions like reduced landing during a low visibility. We have cut one right now, and we have some restrictions on taxiways and also on parking stands. We couldn't be able to do this all when everything runs in full scale. So that's why it's the right time right now. And this crisis gave us this opportunity to become stronger and invest in all these projects, mostly related to aerodrome safety and quality of services. We will have most of construction work over by end of October, and Cut 2 will be back next week, and also cargo apron is already finished. So I'm happy we have used this time really in a good and proper way, and as I said, we will become stronger and more ready for the new challenges coming up in the future.
Yes, thank you, Laila. Mm-hmm. Hakan, I have a question I would like to address to you. You are, again, representative of the global company, and you have experience how to finance and invest in development projects. What would be your opinion? What is the best way in nowadays to build up like a big projects, like development of business park or airport infrastructure or any other aviation infrastructure which then generates profit? Does it need to be done by simple banking loans, or you have some other ideas how to do it?
Actually, as TAV Airports Holding, we passed all these phases before. As we established 1997 and we started to get short-term privatization by the Istanbul airport, firstly, we started to actually share, start to sell our shares to the private investors. We started way like that, and we started to extend our portfolio by BOT projects and by public-private partnership projects. And after that, in 2007, we started. Before 2007, we took a decision to go to IPO, and we make all necessary preparations, and then at the right time, actually, we go to rally in all around the world and to express ourselves well, and we went to let's say Istanbul Stock Exchange market. We started to be listed in 2007. After that, around 2016-17, we sold our major shares to Aéroports de Paris. Group Aéroports de Paris. Actually, I would like to say that healthy organizations, healthy profit and loss companies, their main aim should be this in their lifetime, that process, because it means that you are bringing in your country foreign direct investment, you are bringing in your business trust from the international finance sector, and you are bringing some investors into your business, and you are responding the market needs, responding the flag carrier needs as soon as possible, and you are making all necessary infrastructures by funding by the project finance of our investors. This is, I can say that as quick as possible response that we gave in Turkey and all around in our catchment area, and we saw too much after that passenger increase because of we made all necessary infrastructure on the time. We frame feature before than our competitors.
Yes, when we're talking about infrastructure, there's always a question, and I would say a challenge. What comes first, chicken or egg? Because without infrastructure, you cannot attract traffic. Without the traffic, you don't have a cash to finance infrastructure. That's why in modern days we need to think about various ways of investments and financing our development. And not only government, I think, is the only and the best way how to do the projects. We need a private competencies in all fields, definitely. David, you also had a project of building a new tower at the Riga airport. What's about time frame?
Yeah, interesting question. So we still continue the project phase of the new tower, and by the end of this year, we will have a final project, and then we will be prepared for the next phase and for the next steps. Yeah. But of course, considering the situation which we face today, we will think about the future possibilities of how we can go ahead with that project. Because, as you know, we planned to go ahead with this project with our own financing, without any additional financing, for example, from the state or from any other funds, and then for the time being we have to think for the future about the further steps. But I'm quite optimistic in this respect, because earlier or later this disease, this pandemic will finish, and will come back again with this issue, and not only with this issue, because there are some other projects as well, and there are projects which have a vital impact on safety issues, and these projects are going ahead. Yeah, if in general I would say how much investments we have suspended, that will be approximately 49%, and I should say 49% only. Yeah, because 51% is remaining, is on track, and we are going ahead with that. I agree that this is the time when we have a lot of possibilities to accumulate our efforts for the future plans and for the future investments, including infrastructure.
Yes, thank you, David. Laila, as we're talking today about sustainability, that means also green thinking. Can you highlight some green projects of Riga Airport which we have in the front of us, like, I don't know, maybe electric buses or some waste management improvements? Can you name it some?
Yes, Riga Airport is a part of airport carbon management accreditation program since 2015, and currently we have a lowest level number 1, but during this year we have developed a new carbon management program for the next periods up to 2023, and we will apply also for level 2, and we would like to reach it by the end of this year. When it comes to our projects, then yes, we would like to participate also in European structural funds, which will become available to Latvia within the next budgeting time until the year 2027. And we would like to apply, and we would like to use these funds for different alternative fuel vehicles. We would like to improve also our sewage system, and we have plans also to purchase buses, like electrical buses, taking our passengers from terminal to airplanes. We have great plans, and I hope we will get financing, and we will be able to implement all these plans.
If you're touching about financing, there's some issues with the state support for Riga Airport. Do you have received money from the state?
No, we haven't received money, but we got approval at the end of April to get support for 54 million euros. And we still are in the process of negotiation with Finance Ministry and Ministry of Transport and the European Committee about the exit strategy, because this money will not be granted. We have to develop a proper exit strategy, how we return the money back to the country.
So this means that will be not just investment into the capital, but this money will need to be returned back.
Yes, exactly. And it means a longer process to get all the parties involved to come to the common solution and conclusion. And it will take, I think, 2 more months, but not more. Yeah, okay. By end of October, early November, we should be ready with that process.
Excellent. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
Hakan, what is environmental of the business here in Latvia to compare maybe to other stations you operate, and what is your vision to be in this market for the future periods?
I think we are all in the same situation in the world now. I cannot say that Riga Airport is different than the others. That's why, actually, when you ask the market expert person, sometimes you are not able to get some responses from them. Everybody's silent. They are observing. They are trying to see some green lights at the end of the tunnel. Everybody focus on their organization, their staff, and also negotiation with the states negotiating with the, for example, unions, European Union or upper position of that. As a short-term strategy, everybody has some plan, but as a long-term strategy, if if I would like to say something related with the even green environment and also framing your future healthy, this sustainable development goals subject is very important because these 17 goals there are declared by United Nations. We are seeing that which country, which company is putting this strategy on the heart of their business. They are framing their future and better than the others, and they are becoming in line with the world perspectives. This is the long term, I can say something. As a short term, as we talk all together, we have to come up together by the common strategy, by the existing available partners that we are believing. We should frame all together the future by the consensus, by the optimum way. I can just say like that. And the other airports are in the same situation. There is no one fit size all solution. You know? That's why the consensus and the market realities we should put on the table all together, and we should rise up again.
Excellent. Let's do so. Kaspars, there's a lot of analysis about rail-to-air connectivity. There's samples in Europe, and definitely this is also a way how we can be more carbon efficient, because definitely it will substitute some Baltic flights, and some passengers definitely will take the seats from the planes to the train. What is your vision of Rail Baltica, rail-to-air connectivity, and do we will see something new, something which is not observed in other examples? Because rail, which is built, is actually a century project. It's built for the century. We would like to hope that there will be something which we will say that this is something only we have, and this is something that we have more efficient than others. Do you have some ideas about it?
Let me address this important question in the wider sustainability context. The Flygskäm, the flight shaming movement, which in many ways antagonizes the aviation industry and glorifies the railway industry. So in other words, juxtaposing these two important industries. In my view, air and rail are perfectly complementary. We don't have to talk about rail stealing air passengers or emphasizing the fact that, for obvious reason, rail is a more sustainable mode of transport. But at the same time, I fundamentally believe that connectivity is a human right, especially today in the COVID environment where we see people separated by travel restrictions. That's the perfect illustration of the importance of connectivity. So in other words, movements which artificially shame one part of the mobility industry and oppose that to other parts of the mobility industry, they're actually hurting connectivity. Because at Rail Baltica, we have the philosophy, again, because Rail Baltica is not a railway project. Rail Baltica is a multimodal connectivity project. And that's why, also through our infrastructural developments, we are bringing that rail or surface connectivity to Riga International Airport with a high-speed rail connection, perhaps with a shuttle between the city of Riga and the airport. We are also bringing the airport as part of the regional commuter network in the future. And all of that adds to this complementarity of air to rail. That's why, of course, we also have streamlined our designs to enable that in the future, the seamless intermodal journey for the passenger is, nobody just travels by air or just travels by train. Obviously, the modern passenger journey is a multimodal journey, including the first and the last mile that always needs to be bridged by micromobility, then either a surface access or maybe a longer haul surface travel, perhaps by high-speed rail, to an airport, and then flying, to meet their loved ones, their relatives, their business partners, and especially for a peripheral region like the Baltic states and Latvia here, there's nothing that will ever replace that air connectivity. And yes, of course, some of the short-haul flights, perhaps inside of the Baltics, will be replaced by high-speed rail. But if we have that perfect seamless intermodality between high-speed rail connecting the Baltic states, bringing the passengers to Riga International Airport, connecting perhaps through airline and rail operator code-shares, maybe with integrated baggage solutions that we have seen in some places in the world, in Hong Kong, in Kuala Lumpur. There have been some trials also in Europe. I mean, we know Heathrow, Vienna, I mean, of course, Frankfurt and Schiphol have a wonderful interconnectivity between air and rail. And that's exactly the type and level of connectivity we must bring here in the Baltic states. And at the end of the day, it's a win-win for the aviation industry and for the rail industry. I mean, Martin Gauss is a big fan of the Rail Baltica project because he understands that even though he will lose some of the intra-Baltic passengers, but the rapid increase of the Riga International Airport catchment area because of this connection to high-speed rail will far outweigh and compensate any passengers he will lose on the short-haul flight. And at the end of the day, we have sustainability benefits from both sides. You have a greener mode to access the airport. I mean, people not driving their cars to the airport, they're instead taking a shuttle from Riga city center to the Riga International Airport. And at the same time, kind of short-haul and ultra-short-haul flights are naturally replaced by high-speed connectivity, freeing up capacity for carriers, for airports to focus on a longer-haul or medium-haul traffic, which is critical for Latvia and the Baltics.
Just to precise, does it will be single ticket?
I very much hope so. It's certainly up to the kind of the business case of that integrated multimodal passenger offer. That's why I'm hoping, and we will put infrastructure in place to enable that. I'm hoping that in the future, airlines operating here in the Baltic and rail operators, especially the high-speed rail operators, will find a way to cooperate, to bring a single ticket, a code share, integrated baggage solutions, reprotection, and all of the things that people elsewhere in Europe and the world enjoy. And we need to bring here to the Baltics.
Absolutely, that's my point, because passengers will use the service, and this project will be successful only in one case, if it will be convenient services. If I, as a traveler, can just leave out the hotel without any any luggage, just go without burdens, all this line from the city to the train to the air. But of course, there are a lot of challenges, as safety and security issues, as customs, etc., etc. So I think there's a lot of job need to be done in the front to be competitive and to be true breaking via these technologies.
And if I may add a short remark, we are not talking just about passenger connectivity, because clearly there is a potential synergy also on the freight side, especially small freight, e-commerce. We're actually thinking about the solutions, for example, rolling cage-based solutions on the high-speed train set that could not only handle passenger baggage for this integrated journey, but also e-commerce shipments, coming in from maybe long-haul air freight, perhaps from Asia with e-commerce goods, and then being distributed on a rapid high-speed network by rail.
Absolutely, we have discussed this earlier, that it will be possibility to do an e-shipment between Tallinn and Riga within less than 2 hours, I guess. So that's fantastic. So I would like a little bit to add to our discussion human factor, because we think about sustainability and greens because we need to live in a good, nice environment, and also our place of the work also is a part of our environment. David, within a new tower project, there is a remote tower concept. Hopefully will be introduced. What does it mean for air traffic controllers and for the business itself?
Yeah, we decided to combine two, let me say, two things in one. Yeah, and for example, we have several airports in Latvia, low-density airports. Some of them, for the time being, are not operational. But for example, Liepa is an operational airport. Air Baltic is flying there. And when we were evaluating just the project of a new tower, then all the studies showed, and also Eurocontrol has advised that the physical towers is not a subject of is subject of future as well. Yeah, and these physical towers are designed for high-density airports. For the time being, it's quite difficult to work with a remote tower in such kind of an airport, including Riga Airport also. And of course, we were thinking about the future and probably about the second runway in the Riga Airport in the future. But if we are talking about the low-density airports, then remote tower is the best solution for that. And remote tower will be introduced in all the Latvian airports where this movement will be activated. First of all, in Liepāja, and then we have already several studies according to this issue. So that will be on place.
How it will change the daily life of controllers or technical staff at your organization?
You know, first of all, there will be no need to send our controllers to Liepāja, and that will of course contribute to our financial efficiency, and they will do the same work from Riga, from new tower. At the same time, we consider that the remote tower operations will be the future of aviation, and of course including Riga airports, But just I wanted to say several words about the previous question about the new green thinking in aviation. In this respect, we have carried out very important several projects. This is Free Route Airspace project, which we have already finished, and it works in Latvian airspace, not only in Latvian airspace, but this project was done together with our Norwegian, Finnish and Estonian colleagues within the NEFAB frames, North European Functional Airspace Block. This is a collaborative decision-making project together with the Riga Airport, which will be, I hope, in the nearest months finished. And this is, of course, performance-based navigation project, which we have carried out together with Air Baltic, and we have quite good results. Baltic, as an airline company, has good results because in all these three projects, they give possibility to consume less fuel and to become greener.
Yeah, and consuming less fuel means saving more money, and this is pure money which are spent just in a waste.
In addition, of course.
In addition. Laila, about the human factors and involvement. Before the crisis, there was a huge problem about staff hirings, about getting people's on job, pressure to the salaries, discussions with the unions, so a lot of interactions. Today, of course, there's a little bit different situation. Nevertheless, we're trying to keep our professionals on board, and actually, airport did a great job in this this perspective. But if you're talking about the next, after we will return back to the normal full operations, still this issue can arise. How you see automatization of the services at Riga Airport?
Well, when we talk about sustainability, it is basically the balance between social, economic, and environmental impacts on different issues. When airport is thinking about sustainability, and we are automatically improving our processes. We look at our resources, and we are trying to make also working places better and nicer for our employees. We also are becoming as like a more interesting employer for future employees. Yes, we have achieved a lot, and we have participated in assessment of so-called sustainability index for many years, starting from 2011. And last 2 years we have been titled as a platinum status, yeah, so which is the highest one. And also this year we will produce a report according to GRI, International Global Reporting highest standards, and this report will show all airports' achievements in all most important sustainability areas. And I think this all together makes the airport as a very good employer. And yes, we have experience in past problems like everybody else. I think not only in our industry, in all country, with employees to get necessary amount of people working for us. But right now the situation is pretty stable. Yes, unfortunately we had to also cut the number of staff working for airport for 350 people. But nevertheless, it was less than we expected when crisis was just starting in March. We are keeping the personnel right now for approximately 25–30% of operations from last year's volume, and we are continue doing that. And when it's over, I'm sure we will come back to the same issues, but I hope we will be level up, and with all our investments what we have done right now. We still are having discussions with unions about all the changes, because we are also doing many internal changes of processes. Also reorganizational issues are still valid in different departments. So yes, right now certainly we have a situation when we have this crisis influence, but later on we will be much better ready to come back to the growth.
Thank you for your comments. We are going to the closure of today's first panel discussion, but in front of me I have questions from Slido tool. And there's a lot of comments and questions, but I will just give some shortest and let's say maybe some relaxing. There's a question to Rail Baltica. Does trains will be driven by humans or electronic devices?
Well, most likely, just like in the aviation industry, it will be a mix of both. So clearly, also the rail industry and the rolling stock industry. And rail, of course, being on the more conservative side compared to other modes of transport. But still, there is, of course, the degree of automation or the movement towards automation. I will probably not promise that on the mainline high-speed rail services will have automated train operations with a very high degree of automation. In other words, manless or unmanned rolling stock operation. But, for example, the potential shuttle between the Riga city center and the Riga International Airport could be seen as a potential test case for the so-called ATO operations. So yes, definitely a mix of both and increasing automation in the rail industry.
So I don't actually know whom to address next question, to Laila or to Hakan, because it's a question very funny. Why in Riga Airport we don't have a fast food restaurants?
Actually, we have a fast food restaurant. For example, when we at the landside and airside, fast food means, for example, we have cafes, we have sport bar restaurants, and also we have like a let's say. I don't want to say now the brands, but we have several shops. If we are talking about fast food branded companies, they are coming like that airports for very long-term contract. At least when we talk some of the brands that they are not in the Baltic region yet, they are asking us 10 years contract.
Okay.
This is important.
clear. So this is one more challenge we have to solve.
Yeah.
Laila, this is definitely a question to Riga Airport. Why in Riga Airport we don't have PRC tests available, those COVID testing?
Oh, this is a very good question. Actually, we are working on it right now. We have announced a tender among certified labs in Latvia, and we got first results. 4 labs are interested in, and during this week we are finalizing the tender. We will get all the results, and I'm sure by end of September or early in October we will have COVID tests also available at airport territory in terminal area.
Okay, thank you. Just to add that we really hope that those COVID tests will replace requirements for self-isolation and quarantine, because that's definitely affecting sales and number of passengers at our airport. So, guys, we are going to the end of our discussion, and I would like to ask each of you just give a short sentence what you would like to address to our auditorium from today's or from perspective of our next future development. David, let's start with you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to encourage from myself, my staff, where I work for the time being, to be optimistic, and I recall to be optimistic also to myself, yeah, and that's very important, because as I have already mentioned, this pandemic will finish, and we have to do our best to use all this time when we suffer from this dramatic decrease of flights, dramatic decrease of aviation business. We have also to think probably in some maybe additional directions. What can we do? How can we contribute? How can we contribute our business? What can we do this time? Thinking for future. And I can assure you that LGS is now preparing a special plan where we also have several directions how to survive, but for the time being, I would not like to discuss this issue.
Okay.
But the key word is optimism.
Perfect. Kaspars, your sentence.
Well, probably most importantly, maintain your passion about aviation. It's a beautiful industry, and if anything, in these very difficult times, it has demonstrated to everyone the importance of aviation. I mean, we see the investments or kind of rescue investments that the government is making in Baltic, in the airport, in realization that aviation is critically important, and the absence of that air connectivity, what does it do to the economy, to people? And from that perspective, I truly believe that the industry will come out stronger out of this crisis. Hakan already alluded, there have been crises before. This one is particularly nasty, but at the same time, this also greases the wheels of innovation in the industry. And, in a few years, we will also connect seamlessly air and rail and allow these two industries to develop cohesively.
Thank you. Hakan, your?
I would like to mention one subject. That's the most important and the very well-known global brand of Latvia is Riga Airport and Air Baltica. There is no better and well-known other sector in the world. And you are the leader in the region. And you don't want to lose your leader position as well, and you would like to extend your position by the way. So that's why there is no any doubt that air transport sector hardly hit it at the first lane. So the state and government should put much more attention because of their much available brands for rising up, and also for supporting the other part of the aviation sector is important. Then altogether we can rise up, or individually we will die. So the subject is very important. That's why I would like to just say the last word. This idle time support, we need it. At least till the beginning of next summer. Because two important brands, most important sector, and we have a very available staff. We don't want to lose their loyalty, our company culture also here. So we need this support as quick as possible, just like I can say.
Okay, got it. We will work on it. Laila.
Yeah, so much has been said. My message will be very short. Our ship is not sinking, it's just shaking. And these times will be over and we will be back to normal again. Yeah, thank you.
So, excellent. And let's hope for the best. We are in good timing. We will wish all the best for our panel participants. And let's work hard for our future. Thank you a lot for your participation here.
Thank you.